last mile that they were anticipating for global payments, the playbook for global payments. So I think that's really interesting because as we look at global payments, the entire space is just, getting ready for a major, major liftoff. And we're starting to see that trend very, very clearly. And the other thing that's happening while we're while we're monitoring this nice preparation of the market is tokens like SHIB up 94 million%. What is up with that? Well, we're going to get into that and much more. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready, and we're going to kick this thing off. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
All right. Well, before we really get into this, before we really get started, why don't you go run out, get your espresso. Let's gear it up for today's show. Hopefully, we get some people in there. I know people are probably they looked at the thumbnail and they're like, SHIB, wait, XRP is $1 and SHIB's up 94 million%. What's that all about? I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to know. So hang on. Man, that's good. Little bit of espresso. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Give a big shout out to DNI, the first in the stream today. Big shout out. Hello, XRP family. So DNI, a pleasure to see you on. Great to see you. That's awesome. Fantastic. So check this out. So we got very easy hydroponics. I sold all my SHIB a few days ago, made $2,000 on a $300 investment. And there you go. Sometimes when these things ramp up, you want to just get out, capture your profit, and then forget about it. Never look back. And then that's it. And that's it. So, all right, what we got here? We got Chip is giving a big, huge shout out to none other than the SHIB. What's up, Chip? What is going on? So check this out. I want to, before we get into it, there is a few things that I wanted to reference here. So, blockchain backer put up something, an interesting tweet about the actual wolf on Wall Street. And so he kind of commented on a tweet. And so we're going to get into that a little bit because if the wolf of Wall Street is now investing in XRP, then, what does that say? So I want to look at that here in a minute. And then there, from that same tweet storm, there was also something here from DAI that I thought was interesting. And then we're really going to get and dig into it because a number of people had forwarded on. Thank you, JV. There was an article that came out by Rosalind Layton, and it's so spot on, which is the SEC chair, Gensler. We know him, right, as Daddy G, Daddy the Man G. We know him as the chair of the SEC, right? And he has a war on crypto. And what is that all about? And so Rosalind Layton's article is SEC Chair Gensler's war on crypto is all about his resume. Now, that's something that we've referenced here multiple times, that there's a resume builder. And, he doesn't care about the retail investors. He doesn't care about people's lives that he destroys on the way up because you know what? It's not about you. It's all about him. And that's all that matters. Maybe he's on a war path towards getting a position as the Treasury Secretary. So think about, you taught at MIT, then you go on and you're the chair of the CFTC, and then now you're the chair of the SEC. And then what's next? You get appointed to being Treasury Secretary. So think about that you guys are doing a great thing as he's destroying lives out there, that you're contributing to the better fulfillment of his lifelong dream, being the Treasury Secretary. So we're going to dig into that a little bit as well. There was actually just a lot of interesting things, that are going on, plus a Gensler beatdown that is also, that's in the article. So we'll get into that. Another interesting point that JV had forwarded over. So JV, thanks for the multiple articles that you sent over today. One is the FDIC working with the Fed to regulate crypto. We'll get into that one. So a lot of interesting things, but let's find a good starting point um because because why not? Because. All right, I want to give a quick shout out to uh, Tony Edwards over at Thinking Crypto. So he received his silver button from YouTube. So how great is that? This from Tony Edwards feels great. Feels great to get one. Thank you all for your support. And here he is showing off the silver button that plaque that he got 100,000 subscribers. So put that up on the wall and be proud. Tony of Thinking Crypto was with us this past week here on the chain, diving in and dissecting some of the great interviews that he's had with some outstanding people in the space. So anyhow, see, look at that. Way to go, Tony. You deserve it. Great job. Great job, brother, from On the Chain. What a nice comment. Those guys must be amazing. Those guys are awesome over at On the Chain. Blockchain backer here. Congrats, man. You earned it for sure. Great interview. Did Hugo just say Digibytes on FN? So look at that. So here's the tweet from Rosalind Layton, right? And it's popping up right here in Twitter. We've actually got the article open. So we're gonna dig into that article here in a few, but I love it. Look at this. Just putting him in his place. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this smile. He's so giddy. You know, he realizes he's just so close right now to getting his appointment to the Treasury Secretary. Look at Gensler's zeal to be top regulator and Wall Street's goal to pick a crypto winner are a match made in heaven. So we got we got to dig into that article here in a few minutes. Really great stuff here, to get into. And so one of the key points. Well, actually, before we get into Rosalind Late, let me pull up some of these other tweets here. Let's go through. We'll do it Twitter Saturday, or well, the Twitter segment of Saturday rants or something like that. I don't know. What's important is that you got your espresso. That's what's key with all of this, right? So, all right, we'll go one by one. Wait a minute. Here we go. So let's pull this up. Check this out. Look at that. They added. You guys see that? How cool is that? It can be on the side, and it could be not so cool, and then you can do that. It could be really cool, or we can do that, and it's even cooler. But let's use this one for right now. All right, so check it out. So blockchain backer, found this tweet that was put out here a couple days ago, and the Wolf of Wall Street. Now, some of the things the Wolf of Wall Street has been saying, you could say, well, I don't 100% agree with what he says, but in this case, check this out. A six-figure holder of XRP, right? So he's holding six figures. So Chip is saying, Jeff and I will get a 100K plaque in 5 to 10 years. We're on the 5 to 10 year plan. As some people make it through college in like 4 years. Some people do it in 3 years. Some people go to their masters and everything. They're done in 6. And then some people are on like the 10 to 15 year plan. So Chip and I are on the 100, the path to 100,000 on YouTube is that we're on the 10 to 15 year plan. So we're grow it slow, attract the quality people. And then you kind of, take it. We want to make sure every single person counts when we bring, we get someone that decides to subscribe to On the Chain. We want to make sure that they are quality, right? We want the best and the brightest in the crypto space. So when you're doing that, sometimes it takes a little bit of finesse to get the best and the brightest that are following you. So maybe you don't blow up to 100,000 so quick. But anyhow, so Jordan Belfort. All right. I am a large holder of XRP. Now, by the way, Jordan Belfort was the original Wolf of Wall Street. But I am a holder of XRP 6 figures. My TV guy thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread, thinks it's going to 10,000 I hope he's right, but I'll settle for 10. So, Jordan Belfort, interesting that he says, hey, I hope it settles at 10. I mean, at this point, I'm hoping that XRP at least settles at 5, and he's pointing out 10. His TV guy is talking about 10,000. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation in the space in terms of where XRP can end up being. But I'll tell you what, if SHIB can go up 94 million% in 1 year, 94 million%. Now, the other day with Chip, when we were on, we were talking about a few wallets out there. Now, one wallet had $8,000 worth of SHIB that was put in about a year ago. When we got to look and see when it actually launched, when you could get SHIB for the very first time. Maybe there's someone out there to say, hey, this is when you could get XRP the very first time. So, but imagine, someone that there was a wallet from last August. So we're talking about August of 2020, $8,000 worth of SHIB is now worth like $5.3 billion, not million, billion, 5 billion. So 8,000 to like 5 billion. Then there's someone else that had like $3,400 worth of SHIB that's now worth like 3 billion. I mean, could you imagine? I mean, that's unreal. And so I don't even know what they I don't even know what they could do at that point. That's insane. Now, what do? Do you sell it? They burned off like 41% of SHIB already. I believe that was the last number that I saw, so they're quickly, going through and burning off some of the SHIB. And now there's another one I was reading about this morning called Bitrise. And I don't know anything about it. I know nothing about Bitrise, but there's, a bunch of these newer ones that are starting to pop up. And some of them are, they're eking out an existence. Like with SHIB, for instance, SHIB, they're actually building an exchange. So can you say that SHIB is strictly just a meme coin? But if they are actually building out an exchange, is that now creating a use case? Is that full value? Now think about if you also have, like with Bitrise, also building an exchange. I was reading a little bit about it. I guess in the past 30 days, it's up like 3,500% on Bitrise. And I think you can get it over on PancakeSwap. I don't know anything about it. So not advice in any way, shape, or form, but hell, you got $100, you throw $100 at it, and who knows where it goes, right? You can throw $100 at anything. Now, to that point, though, Elizabeth Warren, though, on the other hand, she says if someone had their last $100 and they decided to put it into cryptocurrency, and then all of a sudden the exchanges get locked up and they can't pull their last $100 out because now it's worth 50 because the market went down. We're not on board with Elizabeth Warren's day trading in crypto, in highly speculative assets, because obviously her financial genius isn't her own. So maybe she's genius because of the positions that she's held and how she's figured out a way to finagle salaries of over $400,000 based on other people's cultures and ethnicities. But that's a whole nother story that we don't need to get into. But then you can actually question her motivations and her anyhow. So Jordan Belfort holding 6-figure XRP. I think that's interesting. So then as you scroll down into that tweet storm here, but we've got DAI actually put something up here. So he's now calling himself DAI, digital asset investor, researcher, and wild speculator. So I don't really follow him too much on Twitter. So maybe that's been there for a long period of time. But I saw his tweet within the tweet from Blockchain Backer. Look at that, though. He's got, what does he have? 208,000 followers. Look at that, Chip. Let's get OTC to 100,000 followers. Does Twitter give you a button? Maybe we can get a button from Twitter, but that's also the 10 to 15 year plan. So, has anyone noticed now? This I'm glad though that he put this up here because this is really, really true. But has anyone noticed Ripple was quiet as a mouse, right? Not a lot, not a lot of movement, even though we have seen them. And I brought this up the other day that it's really interesting, that you see that all of a sudden Ripple starts dropping a lot of tweets. Some of the stuff that they're tweeting out, some of the articles that they're referencing are articles from a year ago. So what's going on? And now the article isn't stale because the article and the topic of the article is very, very relevant. So if it's relevant, then it's interesting, right? Because look at this. So right, so Ripple is super quiet now. They're on stage everywhere, and it's a really good observation, right? You see Brad Garlinghouse everywhere. Good news, bad publicity, negative publicity, whatever. I think they're hitting Twitter, right? All of them, right? Because we see a lot of people on Twitter. We see a lot. Well, we've got David Schwartz tweeting out. We've got all of them. Brad Garlinghouse. All of them are participating in on Twitter right now, and they're speaking everywhere. And on top of that, Ripple is pushing out a lot of their articles on very topic sensitive information that they need to get out into the space. And one of them has to do with this last mile playbook. Now, before we get into the Rosalind Layton, because the Rosalind Layton, we'll get into SEC in a little bit, but let's focus in on the excitement here in the XRP space and this idea, this notion that DAI brought up. So DAI, credit to you for bringing up this notion that that Ripple is dropping more and more positive data. So that's it. That's as much as we're going to give. So, but anyhow, so here, the last mile playbook. Again, this is the last mile playbook of 2020. Now, Ripple just tweeted this out yesterday, and they have, when you go to their website, they have this whole orchestration of registering to download this. So they're pushing out their messaging. They're getting everywhere. You're seeing them, definitely on multiple stages, in person, in social media. Again, it's a significant movement, especially considering the fact that you have this SEC v Ripple case that you would think, hey, you know what? If Gary Daddy G over there, he's coming after you, you might want to go hide in Biden's basement. So, if that's the case, you're going to be running scared a little bit, but no, they're not doing that. They're taking it to them. They're going, they're saying, hey, you want to come after us? You want a piece of us? I'll show you what it's like to try to get a piece of us, because we're going to keep building this thing and nothing you say is going to stop us, because you're in the wrong, we're in the right. And it's not all about the US, because we're talking about global payments, right? These are global payments. These aren't US centric payments, Daddy G. And so XRP is a global phenomenon, not a US phenomenon at this point. And Ripple is also a global phenomenon. It is not a US centric phenomenon. We're not talking about cross-border remittance payments between the free state of Florida and the communist states of New York or California. We're talking about remittance payments, cross-border payments between the US and the Philippines, or the US and Mexico, or Mexico and the Philippines, or the UAE and Saudi Arabia, or Saudi Arabia and Singapore. I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about. So, so that's global, right? So Daddy G is totally missing the point. Global, RippleNet, solving a solution. And we know which lobbyists are paying his bills, because the banking space is heating up, right? Because RippleNet is an important solution, but there's also, and this goes back to, this is really interesting for me, because in the very, very, very beginning, when I first started getting into XRP, and so I look at XRP and I said, you know what, this looks to me like it is a financial institution centric digital asset that really isn't meant to be in the hands of the retail investor. And so obviously it is. But the way it's utilized. Now, the financial institutions say, hey, we love the RippleNet. We love what you're able to do, or the banks. We obviously want to save money. We want to send it quickly. But then you got Swift. Swift is like, the bank mafia over there that's been around since 1976. It's a messaging platform, not a settlement platform. We have to underscore that many times over. But the point being is that when we look at some of the people that are being interfered with, right? Just like now we see a lot of the brick and mortars that are trying to do everything in their power to hold on to power, everything in their power to hold on to their power, right? Just it's amazing, because Ripple saw the writing on the wall, though, is that regardless of who the bank is, you still need a solid solution that is trusted, that can provide the full package for the payment cycle. You have to have the messaging solution. You have to have the settlement solution. You have to have the protection, but it has to be in an environment that is trusted and is going to happen instantaneously. But you also have to have that settlement solution, and the ODL, the on-demand liquidity, is really everything. Without on-demand liquidity, then you might as well be Swift, right? There's no difference if you can't settle and provide the liquidity. That's kind of a game changer. So I don't care if your bank is crypto XYZ Bank or Chase or Bank of America. It doesn't matter, because RippleNet is a solution that is going to help move huge sums of money between point A and point B. Trusted. Now, from a P2P perspective, you could say, hey, what difference does that make? Because I'm going to send $1 million of XRP through the Zum wallet, and I'm going to send it to Ferdy over in the Netherlands. I'm going to say, hey, Ferdy, I've got $1 million in XRP. I got to send you, and I'm going to send it, right? And he can get it in his wallet to wallet. However, within the banking space and the business space, do you want to complete your transaction that way, or is there more in the orchestration? Liquidity. You'd have to figure out why I don't trust the party on the other side. So I need some form of an escrow agent. I need some form of a trusted partner that's going to manage the movement of all of this. So in walks Ripple with RippleNet. So again, it doesn't matter who the bank is, because banks are going to exist. The idea of the Bitcoin maximalist and their utopian society of no banks is not a reality. It's not going to happen. And we've seen that, because right now Coinbase is essentially a bank, right? Celsius is kind of like a quote unquote, because they aren't yet and they don't have the licensing for such. Kraken does have banking license, so they are a bank and a crypto custodian. And so we're noticing these crossovers. So it's very, very important, to underscore this. And that's why this article and the timing of this, that Ripple dropped this, is just like, it's so poignant. It is so poignant. Look at this. Discover new opportunities to streamline and grow your business in this country by country primer on domestic payment systems. So this playbook at a glance. Now, this is really amazing, right? So blockchain and digital asset tech is transforming the complex and often unreliable globement process. So if you want global in payments, I just coined a new phrase. Global payments are now globement. So if I ever refer to them as globements, then you know that we're talking about global payments, the globement process. So when paired together, these technologies offer a solution for streamlining the entire payment system. Now, underscore that, right? Streamlining, critical word, and then everything, right? Everything, the whole system. It's streamlining everything. Now, especially the last mile. So the last mile is getting it now to point B. Point A, I initiated. I don't care how long it takes me to initiate it. It could take me a week to initiate it. Once I initiate it and I hit that button to send it, then the last mile is getting it to point B. And when I want to get it to point B, and this is why this is so relevant, this is why they're popping back up again. When I want to get it to point B, I need to do it fast, speed, transparency, and liquidity. Those are all those are all critical for the efficient payment process for gloments, right? If you want efficiency in your gloments, then you have to have an efficient payment process. Now, we don't have that right now. It does not exist. So you don't have an ODL solution within the banking space right now. You have escrows. If you need to establish trust lines, you have an escrow account between you and party B in another country, and you have an LOC, which is a letter of credit. Now, the letter of credit is super, super, super complex. If you've ever used a letter of credit, it's not easy because the terms of contract are somehow injected into there. Your shipping company is somehow injected into the letter of credit. And I once had a letter of credit that the bank on the other side had a specification that the shipping company, the freight company that we used, had to have ships of no older than X date. I kid you not. The ship had to be of a certain generation. So now, in order for us to fulfill, I had to negotiate that out of the letter of credit, because had the freight company used an older ship and that was somehow communicated, the bank might not have moved the money. Now imagine that. Imagine not reading through every little detail on your letter of credit. Now the letter of credit is nice because it has an escrow, and party B, their bank moves the money to a third bank that's the escrow bank, and your bank, you have bank A, bank B, and bank C, which is the escrow holder, and you move money accordingly. And it takes weeks and weeks and weeks. And if there's a problem, it all falls apart. And so forget that. You need the terms and conditions, but the letter of credit delays things. So if you can create efficiency and you can create liquidity. So sometimes you can create liquidity within the letter of credit if Bank B, the buying party's bank, will front the money for the buying party, and say, we'll fund the escrow. As soon as it gets paid, we'll take the money out of your account, because party B, the buyer, knows that the whole process could take 3 to 4 weeks. So if the whole process takes 3 to 4 weeks, and the other thing is that they won't release money to the seller until the shipping agent confirms delivery to the port of entry. So once it's delivered to the port of entry, now it's sitting in customs. Sometimes there's an inspection period in the letter of credit. So now zero money is given to the seller through this letter of credit, and it super complex. But there's more to it that's important. But the liquidity aspect, the efficiency is all vital, and the transparency within that letter of credit process. There's almost very, very limited easy access transparency through the process, especially once it ships. Yeah. No idea what's going on. Just nothing. Zero. Get to the port. Zero. You have no idea. So, but check this out. Find out what your organization needs for the last mile to build differentiated value propositions in 14 key regions. So back then, right, Mexico, Thailand, Nigeria, we've seen a lot of movement over the past year, a lot of development. So this is still relevant, obviously relevant, revolutionizing today's cross-border payments. We know that, right? In an attempt to create more cross-border interoperability between the different local payment networks, industry players are building new capabilities atop a messy web of legacy systems. Yes, until the base infrastructure is improved, performance will always be limited. Today's complicated global payment system, we know that. Traditional messaging networks, what we talked about, SWIFT, have several serious drawbacks that result in slow settlement time, zero visibility into the process. Blockchain-enabled tech is overcoming these limitations of legacy. The future is blockchain and digital assets. Look at this. Look at this. The need for a standard international payment system that is both fast and verifiable is reaching critical mass, already at $127 trillion per year. So $127 trillion, right? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money moving. Now, imagine if the ODL kicks in, what ODL can do for all of that. India's demand for real-time solutions. India, definitely a major issue. Definitely a major issue that needs some solutions. Global view, opportunity in the last mile. I like how they kind of break it down here. So Legend, high market opportunity, low market opportunity. US is a 4 on the scale. UK, 4.5. Europe, 4.5. These are opportunities. Nigeria, we've got Poland. I don't know why they label those with those numbers. However, that it is what it is. Live countries. Again, this is from 2020. So Australia, they get into what the opportunity size is. Be ready to connect to NPP for a competitive edge if and when it becomes widely available for straight-through processing of cross-border payments for the GLOMANTs, which are global payments. If you didn't know, GLOMANTs, global payments. Providing real-time settlement or certainty on arrival. So anyhow, India, ensure optimal payment experience at competitive price for cost-conscious customer base. Nigeria, given Nigeria's strictly controlled FX market and multiple parallel rates, perfect for FX. And now Nigeria is the first country in Africa to roll out a digital currency, a central bank digital currency. So I find that really, really interesting. That they've now done that. The Philippines, we know the Philippines has been kind of at the epicenter. Thailand has been at the epicenter. The U.S., obviously moving money out of the U.S., provide transparency for FX and USD payments, pricing and the payment status for a competitive edge. There's obviously a lot more to it, but the timing of launching this document, again, it's not launching it, but it's the reiteration, right? So they're putting them out on Twitter like it's brand new. It's brand new fodder for the community to absorb. And then you look back, you're like, this is from 2020. But Ripple just tweeted it out, I think, yesterday. And they've been doing that. So to DAI's point over there, the wild speculator's point, Ripple has been dropping more and more information, but they're also showing up on stages all over the place. And that's it. That's it. Segfredo. Good shit. Devon Steve, these countries like India and China, once they start with ODL or other, there's no going back. Like they have up to now saying it's legal one day, illegal the next. They can't. India is by far putting themselves in the most precarious position, mainly because, and from having worked over there a lot, lots and lots of corruption. I mean, right down to the way they get things out of the port of entry and clearing through customs. It was amazing. I was sitting in an office somewhere in Bombay one time, and I'm looking at their whiteboard. They're breaking down the cost of implementation of product. Now, one of the issues that we always had over there was the foreign currency exchange. So the rupee to dollar exchange rate, small fluctuations that happen continuously, like all the time. And it could impact from one week to the next, one day to the next, where the cost of goods could be inflated by thousands of dollars. Now, all of a sudden, they're like, we can't buy that product now because we can't sell it. We can't charge our customers the $1,000 difference because I'm not accepting rupees. I'm only taking US dollars. So that means they need to exchange their rupees for USD before we can do business. And so from that perspective, it got real messy. Now, part of that, issue obviously is the instability within their financial structure. And so there were definitely some issues with that lack of transparency. There's some, things that were going on, and definitely, corruption too. But when I'm sitting there in the office, we're drinking tea or whatever, we're eating cookies. I don't know what we're doing, but anyhow, so they put up on their whiteboard and they're breaking down all of the cost of good. And one of them, there was a line item. I'm like, I don't know what that line item is. It doesn't make any sense. He goes, that's cash. I said, oh, I see that. You wrote cash. What is that cash for? He said, well, that's our cash that we use in order to pay everybody at customs so we can expedite our product out of customs. I said, well, who do you pay? He said, everybody from the guard at the front gate all the way through to the people that are looking at your goods in customs. I'm like, holy crap. I said, is that a way of business? And he goes, yeah, that's how it has to be done, because otherwise your goods will be stuck in customs for who knows how long, and you'll never get them out. Plus, And so it was an amazing, thought process. I couldn't imagine, in a lot of other countries, like imagine in the US that you have a line item for cash. And that line item basically means that you're paying everybody off in shipping. I mean, it's unreal. It's unbelievable. But to Devon's point, India, forget China. Yeah, push China off the map for a little bit, because China, they want to be overbearing with their own asset, but let's focus in on India, because India definitely 100%, they have to get with it. They have to get on board. We need transparency of what's going on over there. So I think that's key. Norseman is coining a new phrase, 2022, the year of the meme coin. It's kind of like year of the dragon, but it's year of the meme coin. I like that. I like it. So, all right. So where are we? Okay. Oh, let's move on. Let's move on now. We kind of had some fun with Ripple and all that good stuff. Let me just get one of those. There we go. Let's dig in here. Let's go to our buddy, our pal. Actually, if you chant loud enough, maybe we can, he'll hear us. He doesn't like glow-mints. He doesn't. Anyhow, here. Go, Gary, go! Go, Gary, go! Go, Gary! There we go, Gary. Let's go, Gary. No, Gary, no. So this is good. So we were referencing this in the beginning. His whole war on crypto has nothing to do with the retail investor. It has everything to do about his resume. Why? How do we know that? How does Rosalind know that? Because nobody on earth that isn't trying to continuously pat themselves on the back is going to run around at every single moment. Every time he's speaking, every time someone asks him a question, he always has to precede the answer with, well, when I was teaching a course at MIT, when I taught at MIT, when I was at MIT, and I'm shocked that he's not going back and referencing anything from the CFTC. But it is possible that when he was teaching at the MIT, that he was actually referencing, well, when I was chair over at the CFTC, and he probably said that probably every day to the point where his students probably started dropping the class because they couldn't stand it anymore. I don't know that for a fact. I don't think that's true. But anyhow, so here, Rosalind Layton, but anyhow, you can look at one's character, based on what they say. But, we know that he doesn't really care about the retail investor. He's really cares much, much more about himself. He cares much, much more about what his objectives are. And I think that Rosalind hit it out of the park, right? So SEC chair, Gary Gensler, crusade. And I like that, because he is on a crusade. He's on a crusade to crucify the cryptocurrency space, right? And it's surprised many. It did not surprise me. I know for a fact it did not surprise Chip, because I knew who he was ahead of time. You can look at his character. I did not have high hopes for Mr. MIT coming in, because many times they bring in Mr. Expert as a way of kind of tricking and lulling you into a sense of confidence that doesn't really exist. And so they were lulled into this sense that Mr. MIT, Mr. I taught about blockchain at MIT, is actually going to do something beneficial for the retail investor. Now, is his objective being there, knowing his career path? Is it to support the retail investor, or is it to support himself and the big financial institution? So with his knowledge in the space, is he there to kind of bamboozle you as a retail investor and lull you into a sense of confidence, while he takes away and helps support bigger entities that again that are the big lobbyists paying the bills of many of the people that put him into power? Because remember, he's not elected, he's appointed. So if he's appointed, then someone pulls his shoestrings, or someone pulls his marionette strings, and they in turn have marionette strings being pulled by the lobbyists. So we have to consider that this is just a false narrative and is irrelevant to the broader conversation at hand. And I think Chip and I have done a fairly good job of referencing that over and over and over again. But now Rosalind Layton is really solidifying it. Why? Because no such luck. He's not there. He's not there to bring an enlightened approach because no, he is not there. No, he's not there to bring that enlightened approach. So forget about it. I think everyone's forgotten about it at this point. But look, so I like right off the bat. So boom, right? We know that if you want to prove your point, you want to prove your case, you have to kind of put out what the problem is, right? If you have a solution to a problem, you have to phrase out what's the problem? Well, the problem is that we thought that Gary Gensler, having taught at MIT, was going to blockchain at MIT was going to come with a positive solution to the space. We thought he was going to be a problem solver, not a problem maker. But no such luck. So we know what the problem is now that she's phrased the problem. Now, this is very important when you have a project. So if you're building something, you also want to iterate what the problem is and what your solution is. So we know what the problem is. And now we're getting into a little bit more in depth, even in an article. You want to come out, you write the article. Well, what are you writing about? Well, here's my topic. I'm writing about Gary Gensler really being a very self-centered, egotistical pariah that is here to not support the crypto space, but in fact, he's there for a resume builder. So forget about anything you might have thought. And so right off the bat, we know what she's right. Sometimes you read articles and you're reading and reading, you're like, what the hell am I reading? Like this person can't get their thoughts down on the paper. Why are they using so many words? Sometimes you read these books. I don't know if you pick up a book written, a lot of times in the political science arena, people are writing stuff and you're reading and they use like 1,000 words that you need to look up in a dictionary, right? They're just pontificating on the absurdity. And they use the terminology and the phraseology and the way they twist and you're reading, you're like, why? Why be such an asshole? Bring it down to common speak. I want to read through this quickly. I don't want to spend, an absurd amount of time reading your thoughts. I just, you had an interesting book. I want to understand what you're trying to say. Don't bore me with the anyhow. It doesn't matter. So Gensler's foray into cryptocurrency appears to be more a professional resume builder than a coherent regulatory vision for the innovation that can democratize finance. I don't think we need to read anything more, right? I think we need to get Chip. We need to get Rosalind on the show because she is so spot on. I mean, it's just like, it's amazing, right? It's amazing. I love it. I love, this right off the bat. I mean, that's it, right? It's a professional resume. He doesn't give a crap about, what's going on. What does he care? Do you think he cares about protecting you as a retail investor? Forget about it. I don't care that he taught at MIT, Harvard, or Yale. He could have taught at the local community college for all I care. What difference does it make? He needs to shut up about the fact that he taught at MIT. Just sit up there, do the job, support the people, do what you're supposed to do, and we don't want to hear from you anymore. Enough is enough. He comes in there, Mr. Big Shot, but he's not Mr. Big Shot. I guarantee there's 185, 186 people in the space right now. I guarantee that of the 186, probably 99% of you know more than you probably know, or I'd say, I'm sorry, there's 100% of you that know 99% more on cryptocurrency and the benefit of cryptocurrency and how to protect yourself as a retail investor than Gensler knows or cares about. It's just amazing, right? He's been happy to play along with the SEC's word games, right? And and whether or not it's a security. So what do we talk about? Now, the terminology is everything. Now think about when they use terminology and they start throwing it out there. Think about even January 6th. I don't want to talk about what happened. We don't want to bring that up, but think about how they immediately applied certain terminology to that. Is that powerful? Are the words powerful? They're extremely powerful. Now, if they're right, they're right. If they're wrong and they apply incorrect terminology to something, that incorrect terminology then becomes commonplace, and then it applies to what they're referencing. So in this scenario, Gary Gensler talks an awful lot about all crypto are securities, all crypto are securities, all crypto are securities. So eventually, when people start thinking about it, and the more he's out there getting in front of, let's say, Congress says, oh, hey, you know what? I'm not going to read it, but hey, you know what? Crypto are securities. All crypto are securities. Why? Because most congressional representatives that get elected, although some of them may hold law degrees, does not mean that they're smart, does not mean that they have any form of intelligence. All it means is that they did a good job reading books and they were able to take a standardized test. And then they were able to regurgitate certain things that they memorized in a bar exam. Doesn't mean that they're any more or less intelligent than the average person that's watching all this stuff, unfold. However, they're going to manipulate. And so when they go to Congress, all of a sudden, okay, they got elected. So what? That still doesn't mean that they're any more in or less intelligent than the average person. All it means is that they put themselves in a position and they're willing to put themselves out there to get elected. But now that they're there, doesn't mean that they understand. So a lot of them, they don't read the bills. They don't go through and take the time. That's why they vote on things without understanding things. Now, is that smart? That's stupid. How do you vote on something and not understand what you're why would you put your name on something that isn't yours? So here he's creating and twisting the narrative by playing along, right, with the SEC's word games, and he's creating new terminology, which is exactly what was referenced with the stable value coin. So if you reference it as a stable value coin, which he wants to do, then it all of a sudden becomes a security, because that's what he wants. He wants to twist the narrative. He wants to write it. He's in power right now. He's trying to write the terminology, which screws everything up. And you cannot allow that to happen. We've seen that historically, politically. You can't allow it to happen. So it's part of the DC playbook, right? And as long as it moves him to center stage, he doesn't care. He does not care. And she's hitting it out of the park. The regulatory white knight confirmed on the premise to make things right. He doesn't care about making anything right. Implement some industry-friendly policy, market it as pro-consumer, and then takes the next plum job. I like that. That's all it is, right? That is all it's about. He doesn't care. He's going to move on. He might even get a job with a crypto place. I don't know. Clayton has got a pretty cush job. Hinman's got a pretty cush job. And while they were in power, I didn't see much negativity in the crypto space. I didn't see the needle move much, but I didn't see much negativity. All of a sudden, Gensler's there, and it's not just the SEC v. Ripple, because that would be one thing. I see it in general. That's all he's been talking about. It's been nonsense. The whole time he's been in office, in power, it's just nonstop attacking the crypto space. And then he has his stupid videos that with his office hours that are so elementary, and and the way he talks and his voice, his tone of voice, he's talking down to people. This is what these guys do. There's a certain mindset, right? That's why he's always patting him. I taught at MIT. I taught at MIT. That way, that's because now I'm better than everybody else. And you didn't teach at MIT, so you're not as good as me because I taught at MIT. And then he looks down at you, and then he lectures to you. Then he treats you like you're an idiot. And this is exactly what they do. And then they rephrase the terminology. Then they start wrapping their ideas into terminology that then apply, because if you accept their terminology, if you accept the fact that you think he's smarter than you, then he wins. But he isn't. He might have more knowledge in finance than you, but he isn't smarter than you. He doesn't necessarily have more common sense than you. He might have zero common sense, right? Or he could be lying to you in your face and wrapping all of this stuff, saying that he's going to help you because I taught at MIT and I'm the head of the SEC. I'm the chair. And then when Hester Peirce comes and said, "Did you read my safe harbor?" I didn't read. Oh no, I talk to Hester Peirce all the time. I always talk to her. I talk to her every day. I say good morning, and I ask her how her evening was, and I ask her if she had coffee yet. But the question was, did you read the safe harbor that she presented? Oh, I talk to her all the time. So if you want to believe that he has more common sense, or just believe that he's lying to you, that's it, right? So his MIT perch conferred the appearance of academic expertise. Exactly. Doesn't mean that he understands it any better. Doesn't mean that he knows any better. Doesn't mean that he's got some secret knowledge on the crypto or blockchain space. He doesn't. And it's obvious that he doesn't. Because if he did and he was educated to a point where he understood it better than everyone else and he had some secret knowledge, then we wouldn't see the stupid words coming out of Elizabeth Warren's mouth on the space. We wouldn't see Janet Yellen coming out and talking about the fact that it's only used for nefarious purpose and has no use case. Because Gary Gensler would say, "Hey, I understand blockchain. It's the greatest thing ever." And he's going to sit down with said people. Why? Because he's the head of the SEC and wants control over it. And so he would go to Janet Yellen and say, "Janet, hey, by the way, you're wrong about blockchain and crypto. Here's why. Here's the correct talking points. Here's what you need to say," right? Elizabeth Warren, "You're not correct on what you're saying. Here's what you need to say because these are the correct talking points." No, they're all wrong. They're all saying things that are to manipulate and control the outcome, just like the infrastructure bill. They try to cram crypto legislation in the back end. This is what they do. And he's part of the problem. And so she's highlighting this, underscoring it so perfectly in this article. It's outstanding, right? So can Chip and I pat ourselves on the back for continuously, bringing up Gensler, how people have misread him and mislabeled him. And there were a lot of people in our space that said Gensler's coming in, he's going to be the greatest thing. And Chip and I said, no, he's not going to be the greatest thing. Who cares? But let's wait. I don't think he will be. Here's why I don't think he will be. And here's evidence to why I don't think he will be. But let's wait. Let's see what happens. But while we wait and see what happens, be very cautious. Keep him at an arm's length. The best thing that you can do is keep things at an arm's length. Don't automatically believe it. Follow the economics, follow the money, follow the finance, follow the science of finance. Or you can follow the science. That's another one. That's how you know. That's how you know things are being manipulated because they're twisting the narrative, whether it's science or finance or economics or politics or global payment structures. They're twisting the narrative. They're not giving you the truth. They're twisting it to their desired outcome. Stable value coins is a twist in terminology to get his desired outcome, not to help you, not to support you, not to make the digital asset space and the innovation in the digital asset space better, but he's twisting the narrative so they can control it, they can manipulate it, and they can trick you into believing something that isn't. The sky's red. No, the sky's blue. Nope. The sky's got red pigment. It's got red coloring, right? And they're going to keep saying that, right? They can say, well, the grass is yellow. Well, if it's dead, no, it's green. No, it's yellow. The grass is yellow. No, it's green. Well, it's yellow. Why? Because if you mix blue and yellow together, you get green. Well, but it's not yellow. Oh, but yeah, it's yellow. So they're going to give you a little bit of truth wrapped in a lot of falsehoods. So monitor what they tell you because that's how it works, right? Anything they can do to get either reelected or get a resume builder to promote them and promote their narrative to do what they want. And that's it. That's it. It's crazy. Gensler's MIT speeches and interviews were not about the substance of blockchain. Come on. Well, what were they? Commentary, curated to make him look like an expert. That's all it is. That's what these guys do, right? They pontificate. It's the greatest thing ever. My first degree when I was in college all those years ago was in international relations. And it was the greatest thing ever. Why? Because you could just talk theory all day long. You had to know some things, but then you could just come up with ideas and argue and debate. And it was the greatest thing ever. You know, and these guys make an entire career out of just making shit up. It's amazing, right? Because if you dance around the topic long enough, they think you're a policy expert, but he's not a policy expert. He's not an attorney. Yet he references the Howey test every single time he talks about it. He references one element of the Howey test when he's talking about XRP. I mean, it's ludicrous. It's unreal, right? But he did serve 20 years. He worked 20 years at Goldman Sachs. 20 years. Had a 3-year stint at MIT. 3 years. That's it. No background in technology. Zero. Why did people gravitate to this guy? He's a finance guy. Big finance institution that is in a battle right now for the power control over this new innovation called cryptocurrency and blockchain tech. You know what else blockchain tech does? It makes everything transparent. Every movement, every payment, everything is transparent. Now, if you know that government has X wallet and you see where the money flow is going, it's transparent the way it should be. There's a battle of wills going on right now. Do you think he spent 20 years at Goldman Sachs and 3 years teaching about and pontificating on blockchain, talking about nothing, no substance, no background in technology? That would be like me going up there to MIT and lecturing on the technology of blockchain with these students at MIT that are brilliant in science and technology. I'm not going to do it. I mean, you can imagine going out there as a policy expert. Hey, here's my opinion. Why? Because there is no real policy yet. You have some ideas behind it. You have opinion behind it. That's all it was. He's curating his own opinion and trying to warp this sense of knowledge and superiority. So after it was needed. His stint at MIT was a needed stop on the Democrat power train, conferring the academic bona fide to secure his nomination as chair. So you know that he's already planning and plotting. A wise man once told me that in New York, and I think I brought this up the other day, that they elect people based on name recognition, not based on policy and deeds. So when they elected Hillary Clinton, because this goes back to when she got elected to Senate, I said, there's no way she's going to win in New York. She's an outsider. She's never lived in New York a day of her life. She was in Arkansas. Then they were in DC. They might own property in New York, but she's not from New York. They're not going to elect her as senator. He said, well, as from a power perspective, and she said, and so this person told me she's going to get elected. And I said, there's no way. And he said, because they don't care who she is. It's all about name recognition. It's all about celebrity status. Now, think about that for a moment. Celebrity, if you're bringing somebody in based on celebrity status, then think about what happens. Think about it. It's amazing, right? So celebrity status is also wrapping up your resume. Well, Goldman Sachs, MIT, head of CFTC, SEC. Now, what happens after SEC? You go to Treasury, or maybe his sites are loftier. I don't know, but Treasury Secretary seems like a pretty good place for him, but maybe it's beyond. Who knows? In retrospect, the IDO's Media Lab policy strategy becomes clear. Keep retrograde Bitcoin unregulated. It's not vital to Wall Street anyway, but every other crypto asset is up for regulatory grabs. How do you like that? Ignore Bitcoin, but let's crush everything else. In 2015, Ito told the MIT Bitcoin Expo that the Media Labs crypto program came together because we don't even know who's in charge. He wanted MIT to step into that role. Forget that. You want MIT in charge? What? Saying that the biggest risk to Bitcoin is the architecture of the community not being robust. That what? So it's not robust enough? There's not brilliant people. There's people that did not go to MIT that are in the digital asset space. I guarantee it. I guarantee there's people that didn't go to college that are coding and building in this space. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. You don't have to go to MIT to be brilliant. You don't. Sorry. You don't have to have gone to Harvard or Yale because the education isn't any more difficult to get in, especially if you can pay your way in. But then you're almost guaranteed. Why? Because that's all they care about. People care about it, just cosmetics. It's a cosmetic resume builder. Oh, they went to Harvard. They went to Yale. Oh, he taught at MIT. That's all it is. He was in our out, are altcoins part of it? What about Ripple? He was referring to the company that was pioneering a faster, greener consensus protocol, the XRP ledger, to compete with Bitcoin's slow, fossil fuel intensive proof of work mechanism. Ito expertly deployed progressive buzzwords and PERS to advocate for Wall Street's preferred regulatory model, community architecture, open networks, regulatory incubator that put altcoins and Ripple in their place behind. So this, again, the restructuring of terminology. They're trying to trick you and lull you into a sense of superiority, undermining your own intelligence. Gensler was a perfect frontman for the lab, right? Perfect. According to reporting by Charles Gasparino in the New York Post, Gensler moved quickly after coming aboard and requested a meeting in 2018 when SEC Chair Jay Clayton. The SEC just emerged from a rash of enforcement actions against crypto frauds and scam coins throughout 2017. It was pondering whether to declare the three top currency, Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP, to be unregistered. So look at that. So they were contemplating to be unregistered securities and subject to costly enforcement. Well, what happened? Two of the three got pulled out of the equation. Gasparino reports that Gensler advocated for a free pass for Bitcoin as a true crypto, but that Ether and XRP were skirting security law. What's going on here? It goes back to the power grab. It goes back to what they're referencing on how they wanted MIT to control the outcome of Bitcoin. It controlled how he wanted to make sure that they were creating this open network, a community architecture, that they were the ones dictating the outcome. They said, this is too good to pass up. We can create our own. We're financial geniuses. We run the market. We're the brick and mortar. We can control Bitcoin. They're looking at the Bitcoin. They're like, these are people in their basement that are coding in the dark. We can control them. We can go to MIT and teach this course. You can control the narrative. You can control the outcome. Non-compliant securities, right? It's crazy. Gensler's zeal to be the top regulator and Ito's apparent zeal to pick a winner. Bitcoin was a match made in heaven. They didn't want clear, coherent rules. No. Why would they want that across the board? Because you can't control thousands of assets. You can't control three. Well, you can control one asset. If you get all the financial institutions on board with Bitcoin, then they control the outcome. They could become the majority. So they thought. But this goes back to Gensler not really caring. He doesn't care. It's all about control. He doesn't really know. He doesn't have policy superiority. He has a superiority complex. It's decentralized. The whole space is decentralized. The whole world is getting on board with this. It's not about the US. It's not about what he can do at MIT. It isn't. Gensler also preferred the duck test. If something quacks, walks, and looks like a security, then from which knowledge base? Which knowledge base? What court of law uh did he work in? Where did he work as a lawyer? What reference? Right? He loves referencing the Howey test. He loves it. It suits his purposes, his narrative. Then he throws this stuff around, the stable value coins and Howey test and MIT and Howey test and stable coins and MIT. But Gensler and Ito assert that ducks can morph into giraffes if they're sufficiently decentralized. Interesting. Kind of like Bitcoin. See, they made self-contradicting regulatory indictment of Bitcoin rival XRP, saying it's an investment contract in Ripple. But conceded Ripple or XRP would go on if Ripple disappeared. Doesn't seem like he's conceding anymore. So, I mean, this goes on, right? It's crazy. Oh, look at this. This is interesting. When is that coming out? While Gensler is golden, Ito took the fall for revelations that the MIT lab was financed by Jeffrey Epstein and Leon Black. Interesting. Interesting. We know what Clayton did. We know exactly what Clayton did the last day in office on December 20th. Now we've had a lawsuit going on almost for a year. We know it's going to continue out probably till at least March. Right? Now we have 50,000 outraged XRP holders have a class action lawsuit. They didn't see that coming. Why? Because they thought they're smarter than you. They thought they're better than you. They thought they could create the narrative. They could push whatever the outcome they wanted. Why? Because Gary Gensler's from the MIT. They're smarter. He was at Goldman Sachs for 20 years. They've controlled the economy for all these years. They've run it. All the people around him, they're smarter. They're better. They're faster. No one's ever paid attention before. 50,000 people have never countersued the SEC for an action against a company before. 40,000 people have never picked up the phone to call a senator and crash the phone lines before. It's unprecedented what we're seeing, and yet they still keep to pontificate. Gensler is still going to try to convince you otherwise. It's amazing. It's unreal, you know? It's unreal. That's just the reality of it, I guess. I don't know. Anyhow, you guys know we stream 6 days a week, Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Saturday morning is the Rant Show, because every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here with me here on the chain as we rant and we dive into who knows what kind of topic. A lot of it's going to be blockchain and crypto related. I didn't even get to talk about General Motors and Ford, which I wanted to bring up, but that'll be for another day, another time. We can discuss cars on some other show. But if you haven't done so already, you're brand new here, hit the subscribe button. We should have done this way in the beginning. I think I did. But we will be back on tomorrow, Chip and I, right here on the chain, Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do have some great, we have an interesting project chat coming up. I think it's on Wednesday. We have it scheduled with some guys in the space, builders in the space, on a project, this little project that you guys might know as reference to Casino Coin. So we are going to bring that team on with us, with Chip and I, Wednesday night. We're going to be talking with the guys from Casino Coin, and that will be outstanding. So we're looking forward to that. Appreciate all you guys. You guys are by far the best and the brightest in the crypto space. Appreciate you, Norseman. Big shout out to you. Big shout out to everyone who supports here on the chain. And don't forget about the duck test. That's it. That's the new one, Chip. It is now the duck test. That's how we reference all crypto assets. We can base them on the duck test. And we've got Crypto Bird Dog, an OG in the space. Big shout out to you. Call your Congress representatives. Be polite. Be firm. Thank you, Chip and Jeff. You guys got to do it. Do it this week. Call your congressional representatives. And until then, until next time, until tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll check you guys out. Whoops. Check you guys out on the next one. I'm out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.